guys, and welcome back to Eden. So, let's just jump right back in. She shook her head. I am simply doing as I wish. Is it not the same for you? I was merely wondering if it had yet to occur to you. Nothing more. A faint smile spread across her lips. It wasn't the fake, indiscriminately cheerful smile I had seen thus far, but an honest, gentle smile. No, I had seen this smile of hers once before. On the first day I came to the facility, it was that smile which sent a jolt straight to my heart. You said it before, right? You and Scion are like sisters. Yes. Perhaps my sister was the same? Maybe she was made from the same genes. We were always told we were similar. That may be why she and I were able to be such good friends. I see. Sis. She said goodbye to her friend and left Major Inaba, who she had some sort of relationship with. She wanted to see the outside world so much that she was willing to abandon all of that. Why did they go so far to hunt her down? She lived for a long, long time, and knew that her end was near. Felix's eventually meet their end. You and Scion must be getting close. I like to think I'm rather tenacious. I do not have any particularly bad symptoms at the present. But Scion... It will likely not be long. She has worked a little too much. She almost never leaves her room in order to limit her physical exertion, right? Even if it's just a little. That is one reason. But Scion has a lot of pride. She does not want to collapse in front of other people. In truth, it would not be strange if she were to die at any moment. But she is somehow still keeping at it. Does she realize this? There is no way she would not notice. Please do not underestimate her. That girl possesses the most incredible intellect in all of humanity. There are plenty of people who don't take care of themselves. So Scion was in the same situation as my sister. At this rate, Scion will be forced to work at this facility until she dies. That girl is outstandingly skilled, even for a Felix. She possesses abilities beyond her creator's wildest imaginations, and nobody is sure of the primary cause. After she dies, it is likely they will mangle her body and examine it until there is nothing left. They will keep using her even after her death in order to manufacture new geniuses. That girl will be mangled? She's been locked in this empty facility all her life, utilized in every possible way, and even in death she won't be able to rest in peace? That was to be Scion's fate? What do you intend to do, Alicia? You do not have to go out of your way to ask when you already know. I am a maid. I assist Scion with whatever she desires. I see, that's true. The answer was, of course, obvious. If I considered Scion's present condition, there was only one path for Alicia to take. It wasn't something I could pretend I hadn't heard either. But Scion wasn't my sister. There was no need for me to do anything for her, and nothing I could do. Alicia, thank you for telling me about my sister. But I am a soldier who only knows how to kill. I can't do anything unless ordered by a superior. I'm nothing more than an attack dog. Chains can be torn off. Your sister knew that. She slowly stood and bowed to me. Be it an artificially produced human or a wild animal stained by sin, I believe that all living things have a right to be happy. With those words, she left the room without looking back. For some reason, an empty loneliness washed over me, as if I had been left behind. How many years has it been since I felt this alone? The radio remained. Had she forgotten it or left it here on purpose? I flipped the switch. Only the buzz of static came through. Nothing could hurt my ears more. I immediately switched it off. In the silence that followed, my thoughts flickered between the past and the present. Sis, I couldn't save you. I couldn't even come to see you. Atonement. I was sure I had to do something to make up for it. It was far too late to beg for forgiveness, which meant there was only one thing I could do. Only the light taps of fingers on a keyboard echoed in the room. She hadn't noticed when I called out, knocked, or when I opened the door. Her sights were set upon nothing but the monitors in front of her. I sensed someone spying on us from outside the door. The 2 guards on duty were probably suspicious of me appearing all of a sudden and barging into her room. They didn't matter to me. I couldn't take my eyes off of Scion's rigid, perfectly upright posture as she sat at her workstation. She wasn't doing this for any one individual. She, who dedicated her life for all of humanity, I couldn't help but be captivated by the sight of her. Why did you dedicate your life to sending humanity into space? It was fine if she didn't answer. I just wanted to ask. At what point did she decide this to be her fate? I wanted to hear her put it into words. Scion's hand suddenly stopped. However, she didn't turn around. Still staring at the monitor, her hands left the keyboard and brushed her hair. Because I wanted to save the people of this world. I was raised by Alicia, who was always so kind. She never asked for anything in return. So, I figured it would be kind of me to save humanity. Dedicating your life to a single person or all of mankind. That's the only difference between Alicia and myself. The people you're helping are the ones who have confined you here. I didn't expect anything in return. As sad as that may be. Scion had such a small frame. So very small that it seemed like she could break at any second. But I was sure she wouldn't. Nobody could break her. Even though her body was this small, this kind, strong little girl refused to be crushed by the sorrow she carried. But it's not like I had never wished for anything. In fact, she stood and turned this way. Her sharp gaze peered at and practically pierced through me. Maybe my wish was to leave something behind. Oh goodness, she's so cute. To leave something behind? No. We cannot have children. Felixes aren't capable of reproducing. Indeed. She nodded without hesitation. It is a fact that as living things go, we Felixes far surpass mankind. As such, they were naturally afraid of us propagating. We're living beings which exist outside the laws of nature. We burn away our one and only life, and afterwards nothing remains. I couldn't accept it. A life where you're born and then simply disappear. That's why I wished for it. Proof I had once existed. I want as many people as possible to know I was once in this world. There was absolutely no hesitation or trembling in her voice. The abilities she possessed and her entire life itself were used for the sake of others. Surely there were those who criticized her. And there were those who wouldn't approve of her. But her accomplishments were self-evident. There's nobody who doesn't know about you. No matter how long the history of mankind continues onward, I'm sure your name will never be forgotten. Are you content with that? If you were to die in this place, would you have no regrets? She didn't respond. Her eyes said she was searching for something. Her heart was prowling elsewhere. She looked towards me again and gently shook her head. I believe I've done everything I'm supposed to do. The completion of the Earth evacuation project should still be feasible without me. But my life has yet to run its course. There's still a little bit left. That time you have left, what will you do with it? She didn't answer. and it didn't look like she had any intention of doing so. But I knew. I knew her wish, or so I thought. Scion, have you ever cried? No, I don't cry. If I cried, I would never be able to stand again. Where was Scion's heart trying to lead her? Does she no longer have anywhere to go? If she couldn't go anywhere, if she had somewhere she wanted to go, just like Sis did, the place really didn't matter. She would need to try and fly first. And someday, she would invariably arrive there. Scion likely knew that as well. And though she knew, she couldn't take off as long as the wind which would carry her didn't blow. If that's the case, if the wind will not blow, then oh gosh, okay, that was a little hard on me. I'm gonna pause right here because I really need to say this as to explain why I'm getting so emotional, and so it's to help me calm down before I can keep on reading, because I'm pretty sure I'm just gonna cry and not be able to do this right. So it got to me so hard because that's exactly what I want. Is the reason, or one of the reasons why I started my channel, is to be remembered, like, even if it's only by one person. Like, I know, I know with all of my health issues, I'm gonna be gone probably soon, and it's hard. It's hard before I started my YouTube channel, just thinking that, like, even though I was there for somebody in their final moments, like, that's all I ever wanted. And and I started my YouTube channel because I want people to remember me. I want there to be proof that I existed. And even if, like, I can be important to one person, that would be enough. And I'm so glad that I have you guys. And I'm just so thankful. And if it, like, I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for you guys. I wish that I could make a living off of this. I really do. Because I love doing this so much. And I love I love having you guys in my life. And I love all of the messages that I get from you guys. And, oh, you guys just make my life so much better. And I, I will never be able to repay you, like, any of you for that. Okay. Calm down. Let's continue. How many minutes had I spent looking at this target now? My finger resting on the trigger would not move for me. Human targets were the only ones I ever hesitated with after I entered the military, and that stopped after the second or third target. If I didn't shoot, I would be shot. I understood that much faster than the other new recruits. After that I just shot, and shot some more. I shot my enemies as they appeared, ran away when I was being shot at, turned around and shot them when they stopped shooting. It was a series of events that I repeated endlessly. As I piled on the sins, no longer lamenting over those who lost their lives, my human heart slowly but surely faded into the shadows. My memories of her felt like they were disappearing with each pull of the trigger. Still, I could not stop. I didn't even think of stopping. But because I ended up remembering my sister, and because I happened to meet those two, Scion and Alicia, I had never so much as considered something as naive as being able to redo my past. But if I were to rescue those two lonely girls, then maybe... The girl in the military uniform was quite irritated. It only got worse since she didn't have anyone to vent her frustrations on. Hey, warrant officer. Inaba's voice was a little agitated. He had been sitting at his desk and was looking over some documents. Huh? Yes? What's wrong? You barged into my office first thing in the morning and now you're making that scary face. Did I do something? Do I really have that scary look on my face? You do. How about you relax and have a drink? There's no reason for me to drink. Lavier glared at her sloppy commanding officer. Major, surely drinking is not the first thing you do every morning. I assure you drinking is not the first thing. Usually. I think you drink a little too much, Major. You'll die young. You really are in a bad mood. What's wrong? Nothing really. Lavier turned away in a huff. She wondered why she was there in the first place, and could not fathom why she was behaving so poorly. All she wanted was to not be holed up in her room, nor be somewhere she might accidentally run into a certain someone. Hey, Major, could I talk to you for a while? I don't mind. I have an appointment in a bit, but I'll listen until then. Lavier briefly cast her eyes downward and hesitated for a moment before speaking out. I don't really know my father. Father? Your father was a police officer, if I recall. Lavier nodded slightly. A public safety detective, apparently. He was almost never home, and on the rare occasion he was, all he did was eat and sleep. He was tight-lipped, hardly ever smiled, and I remember being a little scared of him as a child. I never talked to him, and sometimes just watched him as he left. As far as I was concerned, he wasn't a part of my life. I believed that my quiet life with my mother and sister would go on forever in that peaceful city. Inaba gazed at Lavier's face, which was neither serious nor impressive, without interrupting. Although she was a little embarrassed, she continued to tell her story. But one day my father died and everything changed. On his way home from work, he was shot in the back of the head. I heard he died instantly. It wasn't shocking that he had lots of enemies in his line of work, but the officer has never been caught. I'm sure he will be. This happened 8 years ago. Organizations opposed to emigrating were still running amok like wildfire back then, huh? I'm sure a public safety officer was a dangerous line of work. Strangely enough, I didn't hate whoever killed him all that much. Dad no doubt knew it might end that way. The fact that he was a detective, the fact he was killed, neither mattered. Dad died, and that's all there was to it. You weren't sad? Lavier's eyes grew wide as she was momentarily surprised by the Major's question. But her unrest passed like a gentle breeze, and her eyes returned to normal. My mother and sister both cried, but I'm probably broken in some way. Not shedding a single tear for a parent's death, deciding to enlist in the military shortly after that, neither made any sense. Granted, Dad may have left behind some money, but my sister was still little and my mother was a shut-in. It felt like I had to do something. The military had practically no age limit and paid a monthly salary. It seemed like a calling for someone as physically and mentally gifted as me. So you say, but it couldn't have been easy on you. The military was tossing new recruits onto the front lines without sufficient training one after another around the time you enlisted. Well, I guess. I figured I'd be stuck doing accounting or office work at the rear, so it came as a shock when I was suddenly sent to the front lines. She quietly turned her gaze downward. The memories from when she had first enlisted were something she wanted to forget. There were far too many painful memories for a girl as young as she was at the time. Still, she knew it was because of those memories in her life, or moments in her life, that she had become who she was today. And that was also how she met a certain young man. At this point, I think I may have been searching for a father figure. Of course, I imagined finding one was unlikely. Straddling the line between life and death, just like your father did. Did you hope to gain something from that? I believe so. If I don't believe it, then my whole life would be meaningless. Does it really matter? Huh? Inaba stood and walked to her side. Oh no! Oh! They look so, like, intimate right now. But I'm gonna stop it here because I am all out of time, guys. So, if you liked it, please give it a big thumbs up down below. And I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye!